Have you ever considered how close you are to crossing the line between good and evil? What if, in an extreme situation, the virtuous person you believe yourself to be turned into something terrifying? What would make you commit acts you never imagined? These questions are not just philosophical speculation. They form the foundation of one of the most impactful studies on human psychology, the Lucifer Effect. Today, we will explore how environmental influences, authority, and dehumanization can turn anyone into a monster. The illusion of absolute goodness. Before diving deeper, it is important to challenge a comforting belief. Are you really as good as you think? Perhaps you help strangers, are honest and respectful. But have you ever given in to small temptations? Taken something that wasn't yours because you thought it wouldn't matter? Followed the majority's opinion even when you knew it wasn't the best decision? The uncomfortable truth is that evil doesn't appear abruptly. It infiltrates through small concessions until, one day, the line of what is acceptable becomes unrecognizable. Let's imagine a simple situation. An employee at a company notices his colleagues manipulating financial reports. At first, he feels uncomfortable, but over time, he gets used to the idea. Small deviations seem harmless until, suddenly, he realizes he is involved in massive fraud. This phenomenon occurs in various aspects of life, which is why we must always be aware of the small compromises we make over time. The Milgram experiment. The power of obedience. In 1961, psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted a terrifying experiment. Participants were instructed to administer electric shocks to a student every time they answered a question incorrectly. Even when the shocks reached supposedly fatal voltages, 65% of the participants continued obeying simply because an authority figure told them to proceed. These people were not sadistic or violent. They were ordinary citizens, pushed by a system that convinced them they weren't responsible for their actions. If you were in this experiment, do you think you would act differently? This isn't just a theoretical question. Think about how many times you have obeyed an order just because someone in a higher position told you to do so, at work, at school, or within your family. Sometimes this obedience can be beneficial, but other times it can lead to disastrous consequences. The Stanford Prison Experiment. The speed of dehumanization. Philip Zimbardo, author of The Lucifer Effect, conducted one of the most shocking psychological studies in history in 1971, the Stanford Prison Experiment. 24 university students were randomly divided into guards and prisoners in a simulated prison. Within days, those who took on the role of guards began to humiliate, torture, and abuse the prisoners. The experiment got so out of control that Zimbardo had to shut it down in just 6 days. This leads us to a terrifying insight. Under certain conditions, ordinary people can become something they never imagined. This experiment also makes us question, how do we handle power? Often, those given authority can end up corrupting themselves. This is evident in politics, corporations, and even in personal relationships. Power, without control and without questioning, can be a trap for morality. How evil takes hold. The factors that create monsters. 1. Blind obedience. When an authority figure gives an order, we tend to follow without question, often justifying our actions as just following orders. 2. Dehumanization. When you see a person or group as less human, it becomes easier to act against them. Terms like scum or animals are often used to justify violent acts. 3. The crowd effect. In the anonymity of a group, people feel less personal responsibility, making unthinkable actions easier. 4. Language and euphemisms. When torture is labeled enhanced interrogation techniques and genocide is called ethnic cleansing, it becomes easier for perpetrators to emotionally distance themselves from their actions. 5. Social pressure. The need to belong can drive people to accept or engage in behaviors they would normally reject. The case of Abu Ghraib, when guards become executioners. In 2004, the world was shocked to see images of American soldiers humiliating and torturing Iraqi prisoners at Abu Ghraib prison. But these soldiers were ordinary people. None of them had a history of violence. So what happened? The answer lies in a combination of pressure from authority, dehumanization of prisoners, and an environment that encouraged these abuses. Just like in the Stanford experiment, the context shaped these people's actions. But what distinguishes these people from those who resisted? Some refused to participate in the abuse and reported the crimes. This shows that, despite negative influences, there is always room for choice. How to resist the Lucifer effect? If everyone has the potential for evil, how can we prevent it? 1. Question. Authority. Not every order should be followed. Leaders are not infallible. 2. Recognize humanity in others. The more you remember that each person has feelings, history, and family, the less likely you are to dehumanize them. 3. Take responsibility for your actions. I was just following orders is not a justification. The choice is always yours. 4. Develop moral courage. Those who challenge evil are often in the minority, but they are the ones who make a difference. 5. Practice empathy and compassion. Small acts of kindness every day help reinforce our humanity. There is no fixed line between good and evil. It shifts according to our choices and circumstances. The Lucifer Effect reminds us that anyone can be the villain of the story, but we also have the capacity to resist, to be heroes. Every decision matters. Every small action brings us closer to either light or darkness. So the next time you face a moral decision, stop and think. Will you be the hero or the monster? The choice is yours. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed or experienced a situation where authority or social pressure pushed someone toward questionable actions? How did you respond? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share this video with someone who might find it thought-provoking. And, most importantly, stay vigilant. The world needs more people willing to stand against injustice, to question, and to choose the path of light. If you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more content like this. Thank you for watching, and remember, you always have a choice.